Hi, Abid here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up a Kubernetes cluster running on Ubuntu 22.04 on a physical PC. To do this, I'm going to be following this excellent tutorial on this website written by Pradeep Kumar, and I'll post a link to this tutorial in the description box below. I am now ready to get started. The first step is to create 3 virtual machines. One is going to be the master node for the Kubernetes cluster, and the second 2 virtual machines will be for the 2 worker nodes. So I'm going to be using a tool I've written myself to create each of the VMs. And you can actually use this tool if you want. It's available on my GitHub repository, and I've got a previous YouTube video that describes how to download and set this up. Or you're more than welcome to use Oracle VirtualBox if you want to create the VMs manually and follow the tutorial that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my script, which is k8_cluster.py. That's going to read this file to create each of the 3 VMs. So I've actually configured this to install Ubuntu 22.04. And the master node is going to have 8 GB of RAM, 6 CPUs. Each of the worker nodes is going to have 4 GB of RAM and 4 CPUs. So I'm just going to run that script now. As follows. And I'm going to put time in front of the command so that we can see how long it takes for it to create those 3 VMs. I will pause the recording and resume recording once the 3 virtual machines have been created. The 3 virtual machines have now been created, and it just took under 3 minutes for them to be created. So what I will do is I'm going to grab the virtual machine information. Oops, try that again. Just going to grab the virtual machine information there. I'm just going to put it in a temporary location because I will need that to edit some host files. I'll quickly put that in there temporarily. So what I will do is I'm going to edit the host file on my host machine, which I'm currently logged into. I'll zoom in a little bit, but I will need to zoom out again. And because I'm not a root user, I need to use sudo. Put in my password. And I'm just going to scroll down a bit. So, and as you can see, I've already set this up earlier today. So the master node has the last octet as 176. So let's put that in there. Worker node 1 has the last octet as 226. Worker node 2 has the last octet as 129. Okay, let's save that. And I'm just going to copy this to the buffer because I'm going to need to add these in to each of the nodes as well. So let's save that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up 3 terminal sessions. So it's 1 for each node. So what you're going to see here is an extremely manual piece of work, which I look to automate going forward. I'm going to zoom out a bit just to make it easier. So if you are watching this video, I do recommend watching this video on a high resolution computer monitor or TV, it might not be easy to watch on a phone or a small tablet, to be honest with you. Okay, so it's going to run LXC list, and I'm going to have a terminal session open for each of the 3 nodes. So to do that, it's LXC space exec, name of the node, just open up a bash shell, do the same there, do the same for each of the other 2 nodes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and edit the host file on each of the machines using Vim. So I'm going to go to the bottom, type in odes, so put in a new line in edit mode, escape WQ, link to exit, let's do that. Same again on the other 2 nodes. You may be able to hear my keyboard. So at home I use a blue switch mechanical keyboard, which is my preference. When I'm at work in the office, I prefer to use a red switch one, so I do not annoy my co-workers. Put that in there. Right, save that. And I'm now going to go follow my crib sheet. So I've got it open in Sublime. So what I've done with this crib sheet, I've actually copied the instructions from the website just to make it easier for me to follow. But it is a really good tutorial, so I'll get started again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the host name on each of the nodes. So I'll do the first one, which is the master node. I'll do the second one, which is worker node 1. Do that. And I'll do the third one, which is worker node 2. I'm going to check each of them to see they should be what they should be. I've got tongue-tied there. I'm just going to check each one to make sure they are set up correctly for the host name. They look correct to me. I'm going to finish this off. Okay, so this is the old school, really manual method, logging into each server, working on them manually. Yeah, I can't wait to automate this. So what we're going to do next is disable swap and add kernel parameters to each node. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Then we will load kernel modules on all the nodes. So I'm going to do it old school, edit each file manually on each machine. So for the purposes of learning and demonstration, this is a good way to actually do this type of work. But going forward, longer term, automation is the way forward to abstract this away. I'm now going to run the mod probe commands to enable that on each of the nodes. And I'm now going to edit the Kubernetes configuration file on each of the nodes as well. Quickly go ahead and speed through this part very quickly. The next section is to install the containerd runtime, so let's go ahead and do that. We are now ready to enable the Docker repository, so I'll go ahead and do that as well. Once the repository has been added, we'll do a sudo apt update on all three nodes. Then we are ready to install containerd. Okay, once containerd is installed, we will configure it so that it starts using systemd as the C group. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Then we are now ready to restart and enable containerd. Once that's done, we will now add the apt repository for Kubernetes. We will now install the Kubernetes packages kubectl, kubeadm, and kubelet on each of those nodes. So before that, I need to do a sudo apt update, then install those 3 packages. Once the packages have been installed, I will run sudo apt mark hold on them as well. And we'll just let this finish. And while this is running, I'm just going to have a drink. We are now ready to initialize the Kubernetes cluster with kubeadm on the master node. So I'm just going to make the terminal sections for the worker node smaller, make the master node one a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to run a command to initialize the cluster. And I will need to grab some output from that command as well, so that I can use it in a new command to join the worker nodes to the cluster. Okay, I'm now seeing an error here which I've not seen on my previous couple of run-throughs with this today as well. Okay, so I went through these steps 2 times earlier today just to get familiar with the process, and they both went through okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually restart each of the nodes. So to do that, I'm going to open up a new terminal session. Here, just going to list each of the nodes, and let's see if rebooting them will help. I'll just restart the master actually and go back to it now. Okay, I'm going to try running that command again. Okay, so I seem to be getting further this time. If this works and I have a working cluster, I will keep this in. But I'm extremely disappointed to see this issue when I'm recording the video. But it is what it is. I mean, if this works, restarting it has helped. So I don't know if any of you are familiar. There's a show in the UK that used to run 15 years ago called The IT Crowd. And in that show there was a character called Rory. So for those of you who know this show, you know what I mean when I mention Rory and The IT Crowd. Okay, so that command has now been successful. So what I will do is I'm going to grab this output here and I'm going to copy it to my temporary location here because I'm going to need some of that command to join the worker nodes to the cluster. So let's go and make this terminal sections for the worker nodes bigger and attempt to join them to the cluster. So let's do that now. That seems to have worked. Okie dokie, let's go back to the master node. Okay, let's go back to the master node. So it looks like I need to run a couple of commands on the master node as well, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to look at automating this process again. I've probably said it a few times already, because there is potentially a lot of room for human error here. And if you do follow these instructions yourself, you might have noticed I might have got out of sync now with some of the steps. But I'll keep this in the video anyway. Right, so it looks like it's working so far. So I can see the cluster, I can see the 3 nodes in the cluster, and we are now ready to go to the next step, which is to install the Calico network plugin on the master node. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Then I'm going to run some commands to get the pod information, which is there, and we'll go ahead and list the nodes again. Okay, so we're now ready to test the Kubernetes cluster. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and we will try deployment with an Nginx app. So let's go ahead and do that. Get the deployment information. So Nginx is actually a really light web server, and I'm deploying a light web server across the cluster. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to expose the ports. So I'm going to do that now. Okay. Right, and it's going to run a command to get some information for the app, and I'm going to make a note of the port number. Okay, so that's the cluster IP there, and the port number is that, and we're now ready to test it. So before I do that, I'm going to run another command before I test it. Okay, so those are the endpoints in the cluster. And I'll scroll back up again. Get the port number. And what I'll do is run a curl command against the IP address of one of the nodes. Do that. So I'll just give it worker node 2. The port number of the actual web server, which is 31230. So let's put that in 31230, and that's working. What I'm going to do is test this from the actual host Ubuntu physical machine as well. So I'll grab that, go into the actual host, test that command, and it's working. So I'm extremely relieved this is working. This has been my third run through today. I didn't see that problem I saw earlier in the first 2 run-throughs. So if you got to the end of this video, thank you very much for your time. I really beg you to please check out the article, the tutorial that has been written. It's a really good tutorial. It's a really good website. I personally have nothing to do with that website or any of the authors, but I do recommend it. And if you like the content I produce, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell should you wish to be notified when I upload further videos in future. And thank you so much. And I really hope to see you soon.